In October 2025, two important set of events happened that sum up the current state of Afghanistan-Pakistan relations. On October 10th, an official Taliban delegation landed in Delhi for an 8-day visit. The same day, border clashes broke out between the two neighbors, Afghanistan and Pakistan, which eventually escalated. Airstrikes from Pakistan reportedly bombed Kabul, and Pakistani soldiers were killed in large numbers from Afghan attacks. And in the middle of all of this, Pakistan suddenly choked Afghan trade moving through its territory, and this poses an important question. Why is Afghanistan so vulnerable to Pakistan? And the answer perhaps lies in its geography. As they say, geography is destiny. You see, Afghanistan is a landlocked country. It has no coastline of its own and hence no direct access to sea. And to import even essential goods like fuel or medicines, or to export its fruits or minerals, it has to move through someone else's territory. And for decades, that someone else has been Pakistan. Historically, Afghan cargo traveled through the Chaman and the Torkham border posts to reach Karachi and Port Qasim, and more than 70% of Afghan cargo was thus routed through Pakistani ports. But when one neighbor controls your only door to the world, it has leverage or control over you. And Pakistan has historically used this leverage to slow the movement of cargo, to close crossings, and even tighten customs to squeeze and control Afghanistan. And so today, Kabul asks an important question. How do we break out of this deadlock? The answer lies in finding alternative shipping routes that bypass Pakistan. And that's where Iran and India come into the picture. But executing such shifts in transit routes is really easy, and there are many troubles and traps waiting for Afghanistan. To understand the transit trap that Afghanistan finds itself in with respect to Pakistan, we must first understand the basics of the transit agreement that Afghanistan and Pakistan have, known as the Afghanistan-Pakistan Trade Transit Agreement. In short, the APTTA. This agreement was signed in 2010 in Islamabad and replaced the earlier 1965 agreement. The agreement lays down the terms and conditions for Afghanistan's access to sea via Pakistan and Pakistan's access to Central Asia via Afghanistan. And on paper, the APTTA sounds a very reasonable agreement, because the agreement says that Afghanistan can use Pakistani ports such as Karachi, Port Qasim, and even Gwadar for imports and exports. Also, the agreement allows Afghan trucks to drive across Pakistan and deliver Afghan exports at the Wagah border, from where these exports can legally reach India. But exactly here, there is a catch in the agreement, because Afghan trucks can carry Afghan goods right through Pakistan all the way to the Indian border, but they are not allowed to pick up Indian goods and bring those goods back to Afghanistan through Pakistan. Pakistan simply blocks this return trade with India. And the official reason Pakistan provides for blocking this return trade is that it does not want Indian products slipping into Pakistani markets through smuggling, which would hurt Pakistani industries. So what this agreement essentially says is that Afghanistan can sell goods to India, but cannot easily buy back from India via land or via Pakistan. And so a truck can arrive from Kabul and drop fruits or dry fruits or minerals at the Wagah border for India, but these trucks must return empty to Afghanistan. And so empty trucks equal to higher transport costs for goods, and higher transport costs make this whole trade between India and Afghanistan unviable. And this is exactly how Pakistan aims to keep Afghanistan dependent on it. And so suddenly it seems that the APTTA agreement, instead of freeing Afghan trade, locks it into a system dominated and dictated by Pakistan, where Pakistan is essentially saying that yes, you can trade, but only in ways that keep us in control. And that's exactly the transit trap that Afghanistan finds itself locked into. And so the question that arises is, why and how is Pakistan using this trap to meet what objective? Historically, Pakistan has blocked and at times repeatedly slowed or shut down border crossings with Afghanistan citing terrorism, citing intelligence concerns or security protocol violations, especially when Kabul doesn't act the way Islamabad wants. And this includes many instances, for example, when Afghanistan talks to India or when Pakistan accuses Afghanistan of sheltering the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, the group blamed for major terrorist attacks within Pakistan. For example, after a major terrorist attack in Pakistan in 2017, Islamabad shut down multiple Afghanistan-Pakistan border crossings, saying militants were coming into Pakistan from the Afghan soil. And when this blockade was imposed in 2017, nearly 2,000 Afghan trucks were stranded near the Afghan-Pak border, almost 1,000 at the Torkham crossing and another 1,000 at the Chaman border crossing. And Afghanistan's access to trade routes and Pakistani ports was blocked for weeks, and Afghan exports, especially perishables such as dry fruits and other commodities, heavily suffered, causing loss of millions of dollars to Afghan traders. This was not an isolated incident because such instances have happened time and again. For example, from 2010 to 15, Pakistan repeatedly slowed customs whenever tensions between the two countries rose, including instances where Pakistan accused that India was getting too much influence within Afghanistan. And also, after the Taliban took over in 2021, Pakistan again restricted their access to key border posts. And the same thing again happened in 2023 after clashes linked to the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. And each time these blockades happened, Afghan business groups said that transport costs jumped by almost 25 to 40%. And in some cases, fruit exports to India collapsed completely. And to Kabul, this is not routine border management. It is Pakistan's way of saying that, look, we can choke your economy. So how can Afghanistan escape this trap? The answer lies in building alternative transit routes to sea through Iran, bypassing Pakistan. And for this to happen, two Iranian ports are extremely important. The first is the Chabahar port in eastern Iran, which is merely a few hundred kilometers from the Gwadar port in Pakistan. And the second is the Bandar Abbas port at the Strait of Hormuz. And for Afghanistan, these two Iranian ports can be extremely valuable because they can allow Afghanistan to export and import goods without touching Pakistani territory at all. And for this to happen, another country, India, is expected to play a very central role. And it is because of this fact that in 2016, India, Iran and Afghanistan signed the Trilateral Transit and Trade Agreement. The agreement states that the Chabahar port in Iran will serve as a dedicated terminal for India, Iran, Afghanistan and Central Asia trade that bypasses Karachi, bypasses Gwadar, and thus bypasses Pakistan's ability to choke this trade. But over the last 8 years, has this agreement actually materialized on the ground? Well, the short answer is a yes. Since 2021, this alternative trade route through Chabahar has accelerated. For example, in 2010, over 70% of Afghan trade happened through Pakistan's ports, particularly the port of Karachi. But by 2024, the share of Pakistani ports like Karachi in Afghanistan's total trade has drastically dropped from 70% in 2010 to merely 40% in 2024. And thus, Iran's ports have expanded fast enough to dominate and accommodate Afghanistan's goods. And further, by 2024, assessments coming out of Tehran have pointed out that today most of Afghanistan's imports and exports are carried out through Iran's Chabahar port. And Iran-Afghanistan trade almost doubled from $1.7 billion in 2023 to almost $3.1 billion in 2024. And with this development, a major shift has already happened. Today, it is Iran and not Pakistan, which is now Afghanistan's biggest trading partner. And this major shift has happened with an active support from the Taliban government. In March 2024, Afghanistan's Ministry of Industry and Commerce said that most Afghan trade is now happening through Iran's ports, and their goal is to avoid a dependency on one country and on one route. It's a more diplomatic way of saying that they want to end Pakistan's chokehold on Afghanistan's economy. So, what is the role that India is playing in this whole picture? Well, as India has been effectively blocked from doing trade with Afghanistan through the land route by Pakistan, it has been actively searching for alternatives. and thus has emerged as a strong supporter of the development of the Chabahar port. It has partnered with Iran to develop and operate the Chabahar port, specifically the Shahid Beheshti terminal. And mind you, this idea of jointly developing the Chabahar port is not a new idea. It was first conceptualized more than 20 years ago in 2003, but US sanctions on Iran had repeatedly frozen the progress on this idea. And then in 2016, after a partial easing of the US sanctions following the 2015 Iran-US nuclear deal, India, Iran and Afghanistan actively revived the Chabahar plan, including construction of new rail networks and road highways such as the Dilaram-Zaranj highway for linking northwards with Afghanistan as a deliberate bypass around Pakistan. And the joint development of the Chabahar port also fits into another key foreign policy objective of India, that is to establish connectivity and trade linkages via Iran to Central Asian countries. And for this, the Chabahar port is also expected to be a vital link in the international north-south transport corridor that links a number of Central Asian countries and even Russia through a number of port, road, rail and other linkages all the way to India. And by 2024, India and Iran signed another long-term 10-year contract to renew their commitment to the Chabahar port, which was initially made in 2016. Under this agreement, India has made a serious financial commitment to the Chabahar port by allocating roughly $370 million through investments and loans to the port. And even though Indian foreign policy makers are well aware that US sanctions on Iran still limit how fast this cooperation can actually grow. And despite the constant threat of US sanctions, the total volume of cargo flow through the Chabahar's Shahid Beheshti terminal has exponentially grown. And over the last 5 years, the cargo handled by the Chabahar port has exponentially grown by almost 82%, reaching almost 22.5 million tons in 2024. And a significant part of the cargo handled by the Chabahar port is actually Afghan cargo. And Kabul likes the Chabahar port because it's cheaper, it's more predictable than Karachi or Gwadar, there are fewer inspections, there are fewer shutdowns, and less harassment of Afghan traders. And this major development is a win-win for all the three major parties, Afghanistan, Iran, and India. Because Afghanistan gets a sea route that Pakistan cannot shut down overnight, India gets physical access to Afghanistan and to Central Asia without asking for permission from Pakistan, and Iran manages to emerge as a regional logistics hub. While in all of this, it is Pakistan which loses leverage or control. And you can see this loss of control in the actual trade numbers, because between 2021 to 25, Afghanistan-Pakistan trade fell by more than 65%. The total trade value declined from $2.2 billion in 2023 to $760 million in 2025. And as a result, the income that came to Pakistan from the imposition of custom duties or trucking or warehouse is now flowing to Iran. So what's the big picture view that is emerging when we look at all of these developments? First is the fact that for Pakistan, this is a serious strategic setback. For years, Pakistan's message to Kabul was that your access to the world goes through us. That claim is getting weaker now, because as Afghan trade shifts to the west, Pakistan is losing customs revenue, trucking income, and day-to-day influence over Kabul. Second, for Iran, this is a great opportunity because it allows them to position the Chabahar port as a major regional logistics hub. And thirdly, for India, this is a long-term strategic breakthrough because it allows India to have an alternative corridor to Afghanistan and to Central Asian countries that bypasses Pakistan and thus does not require Pakistan's approval. In fact, India has already started using this alternative trade route to push in supplies of food, medicines and other goods to Afghanistan bypassing Pakistan. So the next time you hear that Pakistan closes the Chaman border crossing with Afghanistan, or that Afghanistan is rerouting its cargo through the Chabahar port, remember what that means. It's the story of a landlocked country trying to desperately break out of the chokehold that its dominant neighbor is trying to impose upon it. But here is the big question. If most of Afghanistan's goods, food, fuel, imports and exports start flowing in through Afghanistan and bypassing Pakistan, does Islamabad permanently lose its control over Kabul? Or will geography, shared borders and shared security headaches will eventually pull back Afghanistan into a dependency arrangement with Pakistan? Tell us in the comments below.